4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, sin perder el cambio del...
Sería, ¿no? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, cambio y 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, cambio y allá 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, forward now 1. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Mira, esta es la que ven, como que se ve en la práctica. Es decir, yo voy 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Que te batían la 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6,
So the Cuban salsa was something that I absolutely loved because it was just a really fun way to move around and learn how to get a couple new dance steps in. And the dance instructor, even though he was a male, he just reminded me so much of my grandma had she. Like, he was just really eccentric, and the way that he would just count and like do things reminded me of her so much. So that was a really fun experience, and there were some steps that I absolutely loved. They were hilarious. So I'm gonna try to add in a video of that as well. After dance class, we got to have dinner with the people who presented our lectures at the Casa de Africa, and that was really cool because they just had a beautiful house and they were so welcoming, and the food was absolutely delicious. So that was a really fun dinner. The next day after the dance class and the lecture at the university, we got to go to Viñales, and Viñales was so stunning. So that was really cool to get out of Cuba's cities and kind of see the countryside more. And they had these beautiful mountains and this red dirt, and there's just like chickens running around everywhere. But when we were in Viñales, we went to a tobacco plantation, and it was just really cool to see the whole cigar process, the infamous Cuban cigar. I know quite a bit about that now. And our like tour guide, like, he's not a tour guide, he makes cigars for a living and then happened to give us a tour. It seems like he was so over us. Like, his face the whole time was just like he did not, I don't know, it was so funny though. And he didn't know that like any of us spoke Spanish, I don't think, except for our translator, which most of us on the trip did. So he would just like speak really low and like quickly to our translator, and then wait for him to translate, and then talk to him some more. And it was just like, this could be so much more engaging if you just slow down a little bit, because Cuban Spanish is a beast. Like, I was not expecting it to be so different from Costa Rican Spanish, but it really is. But anyway, Viñales was really cool, and we got to try a cigar, and we put a little honey on the part that goes in your mouth, because apparently that's the way that I believe Fidel used to smoke his, so we just followed suit. Just kidding. But yeah, so the cigar was really interesting, and I was like surprised it wasn't repulsive. So I got a couple of those to bring back with me. But yeah, and then we slept in these like really cute other type of hospedajes while we were in Viñales, and it was just like really cute little Airbnb type thing. And they so the guy that we were staying with in our thing in Viñales, like we had our own room, but it was part of his house. And so Jolie and I are walking over there, and we're chatting with him in Spanish, and he's like, oh, you know, where are you guys from? Yeah, United States. And then I was like, I always make this joke. It's really not even funny anymore. I should give it up. But I always tell native Spanish speakers, like, oh, like, I don't speak English, so only speak Spanish with me. And then they're just, sometimes they get it, and they're like, oh, okay, you're trying to learn. And then sometimes they're like, well, what the fuck is wrong with your Spanish why do you talk like this if you don't speak English, or if Spanish isn't your second language? Like, what's wrong with your Spanish? But anyway, so we were walking and chatting, and I told him that joke, and he was like, oh, well, you know, the best way to get the best way to improve your Spanish is with a Cuban boyfriend. And I was just like this was like the second thing that he had said to us. That's the thing about Cuba, is they are so bold, but it's also just like normal conversation to make. Jolie and I got in our bici taxi, which is it's like a tricycle with like a cart on the back for people. And then so we got in there, and this was the day before, and we're just riding around, and I was like, oh, you know, what's your name? And he told us, and he was like, so are you single or married? And we were just like, why is this an opening conversation starter? But it was so funny. Anyway, so back to Viñales. Viñales was beautiful, and we like went to this really cool restaurant. And then after Viñales, we headed home. So Cuba was phenomenal, but it's also really conflicting. And I don't know, it was just really conflicting for me to just kind of be like, not quite vacationing, but vacationing in a third world country, and then to just like be spending my money there and be contributing to this government when there's just so much unknown, you know. I mean, Cuba left me with so many questions. I just can't even. And now I'm like really interested in speaking to some, like we had a translator there / guy, and his name was Orlandito, and Orlandito was the sweetest. But I'm also interested in like hearing more from Cuban people who aren't in Cuba anymore. So I think I just need to take a trip down to Miami, get to the bottom of this. But it was a really conflicting trip, and you know, people keep asking me, oh, how was Cuba, and I always tell them like it was really beautiful, but it's just a complex country, because that's the best way I can think to describe it, because I don't want to make it seem like it's like, you know, Hilton Head, where it's like, oh, it's so beautiful, I can't wait to go back, you know, with a carefree time, because I just can't think of a word besides complex that would really describe Cuba, and especially their relationship with like Che and their story. I don't know. So interesting. You can tell that when you're there, you're just getting fed like tons and tons and tons of propaganda. So it's like, where can I draw the line between what's facts and what's what you want me to know? So Cuba really got me thinking. It really got me thinking. I'm not necessarily in a rush to get back, but I could see maybe a return trip in the future. Just, I don't know. It would just be interesting to see how the country grows, and how like having Donald Trump as our president affects our relationship with Cuba, because him and Russia are close, and Russia and Cuba are close. So maybe, who knows what's gonna happen? Who knows? So yeah. Intricate. Cuba was crazy, but it was an amazing time, and I was so glad that I got to go, and I was so grateful for you, Sac, for making this happen, and I was so grateful that it was just something that I got to explore and experience. Cuba was unbelievable. But yeah, so I think that that's all that I have to say about that. So yeah, can't think of anything else. I will probably be back maybe Friday or maybe next week with a vlog about Panama and my birthday. So very excited for that. Thank you all for watching. Bye.